This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, wow.
Hi, welcome to the Conscious Spirit. I'm Pam.
I'm Nana.
I'm Mari-Lyn. Together we are TCS, Everyday Psychics.
So we're finally here. We're sorry we took a little bit longer than usual to do this answer portion, but you know, life happens and we've been busy, but we're here now. And thank you all for submitting fabulous questions. I have not read them all, but I know they're all fabulous because you guys always ask such great fabulous
They are.
questions.
We have some really good ones.
Good.
Yeah.
So should we just jump right in?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. And first I want to thank Nana, for being here today. It's always a pleasure having you with us. It's always fun.
Thank
It
you
is.
for
It's
having
going to
me.
be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Okay, so should I just go ahead and start one?
Yeah. Start one. I want to say real quick, if I seem distracted, I have a pop-up on my screen. I cannot get rid of it. So I apologize if I ever look distracted. There is this thing on my screen.
Okay.
Like a commercial, like a pop-up, like what is that? Like a virus or?
Nope, it's this meeting is being recorded and it will not go away. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Yep. So I'm going with the fact that my vibration is really high this morning and my laptop's not responding. That's what I'm going with.
I'm taking that, and I'm also saying Mercury's retrograde. So
Who is it?
Yes.
so technology is not doing good,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't travel if I don't have to. Mercury.
Right. Yes. And
Okay.
live by. Yes.
Yes. Good. Well, I'm glad I said something because otherwise I would not have known that Mercury was retrograde, and that's going to save a whole lot of headache.
Yes, if
figure out
we
things.
do it, we can kind of prepare energetically. Like, okay, it's going to be 3. I think it's been retrograde for like a few days, almost a week. So we have another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. That means communication is off, stumbling words, not finding the right words, etc., etc.
Well,
Right.
good luck to us with this video.
Yes. And here we are doing.
It's going to be awesome.
Doing exactly what we shouldn't be doing. Like,
I know. I didn't choose correctly when to do this. And before we move on, actually, to the questions, I wanted to let everyone know that I have decided to come back to teaching, and we have. I say we. I always say we, and that's really my guidance and Mari-Lyn and Nana. But if you would, I'm hopefully going to start in June. That's my plan, is to start having some things come up in June for this. It's your spiritual. It's a spiritual journey. It's the whole journey that I help sort of teach and support and guide you through. So it's a lot of healing, and there's, of course, you get development within that too, with your clairs, etc. And just whatever else. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but Mercury retrograde.
yeah. So the important thing is you're coming back to teaching. So that's
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're going to do some group healings, some group sessions, as well as all the individual stuff. If you'd like to participate or just know about the offerings that are coming up, go to our website at theconsciousspirit.net. Send us an email, say you'd like to be on an email list, and please put your name on there, at least your first name and last initial, so we know who you really are. And I will send out email notifications of our offerings. And that's all it's going to be. I'm not going to, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to be sending you a bunch of stuff, bombarding you with everything. It's just once or twice a month. I'm just going to send something out. If you're on our email list, just telling you what I'm offering. And so, okay. And what Mari-Lyn will be offering as well. She is a teacher too, as you all know, and I'm still poking at Nana to do something. So we'll see what happens with that. Yes.
I mean, I'm always available for any kind of guidance or sessions or.
Yes.
Yes,
you are.
So,
yes.
Yeah, that's all the way I can sum it up by now.
True. All right. So, questions.
All right.
Here's one. I don't know. SP is the name of the person. Have you heard about shifting realities? Is it real? And are there infinite realities? What first strikes me is the word realities. I'm not sure of that term that you're using. So if you're talking about dimensions, there's an infinite amount of dimensions. In my opinion, there's some people that say there's only a certain amount, but I don't necessarily think so. I'm not sure. There's so many different
Gray zones there, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but shifting to me, reality is, I'm assuming you're talking about dimensions, and can you shift dimensions? Yes. She also has a question here that I absolutely cannot answer. How do I astral project? That's a huge thing. That's like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of teaching and talking about. So when she's talking about shifting realities, I'm going to go with, I think she's talking about dimensions. And yes, you watch us do it all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if she means, if it's a she, I don't know, he, it.
I'm not sure either.
Whatever. Yeah. The person.
Mm-hmm.
The person asking, even like the way I get it is there are numerous timelines, and every time you make a different decision, you do change timelines. So I guess we can say change reality all the time, but yeah. And even like you can access like the fifth dimension, but that's like another point of view. It's not really like you're gonna like teleport away from this.
It's not like astral projecting through all of these. You're not astral projecting every time that you're changing dimensions.
Right.
Oh, it's more like a radio, like you're tuning into the reality. If she means dimensions, if she means timelines, or I'm not sure either. But
So I think the maybe SP, you can let us know what you mean by realities, because we're not
astral projecting.
We don't quite know how to answer the question because of that. And then as far as astral projection, there are all kinds of videos on YouTube that will help you learn how to astral project. There's books. People really study it. So and I would do that.
So many techniques and
and know that it's not a scary thing. There are people out there who will warn you you're going to get I don't know, whatever, something, you're going to run into demons and you're going to get, killed, and you're going to get stuck, and you're going to get, don't listen to all of that BS.
No. But I know that it takes a lot of, like, you have to really empty your mind a lot and be very relaxed.
Practice. It takes a lot of practice.
It does. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Mari-Lyn, do you want to ask one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. Came through one of our social medias from Nikki, and she's asking, can someone or even a couple have a black cloud or bad luck hovering over them? Like you get a few steps ahead, but something happens and throws you back 3 steps.
Well, yes, but I wouldn't call it bad luck. I would call it like the universe telling you, I don't think you're supposed to be together.
Right.
Yeah.
energetically, that might look like a dark cloud with them together. Like if you would look at the energy, absolutely, but I wouldn't call it bad luck. I don't know what you ladies say.
Nope.
No.
I would call it partially your attitude, your outlook on life, your personal self-talk, the energy you carry in your everyday life. So if you have the attitude that, all right, something bad always happens, I'm going to go through this and I'm sure it's going to turn out crappy, chances are it's going to turn out crappy. Yeah. Also, we get thrown back because there's a lesson we need to learn.
Yes.
I mean, we can do all the healing in the world and there is still lessons to be learned. So when we get thrown back a few steps, I always look at, okay, what do I have to learn? What did I miss? What can I change? Right. What needs to be healed? How can I look at this differently?
I think that's, for me, one of the best things that since I started a spiritual journey, for me, that has been the most positive part of the journey for my life, is when something bad, which is not really bad, but that's how I can look at it now. It's like, oh, okay, this thing that I didn't want to happen happened.
Right.
So what does that mean for me? How did I contribute to this happening? How can I see it differently? How can I learn from it? Is there wounding here? What's really happening to have caused this? Most of the time we cause our own shit to happen.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't
I'm saying all of the time.
Yeah, all of the time. You're right. Yeah. And sometimes spirit nudges us. Or even, we'll laugh that we got pushed down the stairs because spirit wanted us to learn something, and we're just like, nope, not going to look there, not going to learn it. And yeah. And
relationships. If she meant, like, did she mean, or he, or the person? I don't know if it's a he or she.
I know.
But did the person mean, like, for, like, when you are a couple? I didn't really get that part. Like in a relationship, or?
I'm guessing. So can someone, or even a couple, that was her verbiage, or even a couple. And I would say for a couple, the same thing exists. Yeah, the same reasoning.
And you learn, like, we grow so much from relationships, and usually we don't want to do this hard work. So if you're getting thrown back, it's like you can't move forward until you kind of release this block or this resistance or learning whatever it is to be learned.
And here's another thing that with relationships, we choose the person. We come together with the person who's going to help us evolve. And we are teacher and student with every person we're with. And we are meant to get triggered, to look at our own stuff and to heal our own shit. And the other person is as well. So if you are choosing to be with this person and these things keep happening, and you choose not to look at it for what it is and what's really going on, it's going to continue to do that. Or if one person is doing that, the other person isn't, that's not the right person for you. You both come together, teacher, student, to learn, to evolve, and you both have to be on that path together to really learn the most. What are your thoughts, man? Miss Relationship Guru Lady?
I want to say, like, if you are in a relationship where you feel that bad cloud and you feel like let's say you don't want to be in the relationship anymore, but you struggle to kind of like get out of it, or you struggle to get something out of it, find the vibration you have in common, find that in yourself, heal it, and from that point, you can no longer be a vibrational match to that person. But because it's always like that. If you're with someone with extremely low self-esteem that's controlling, probably you have low self-esteem. If you are with someone that is with someone that's unavailable, probably a part of you is unavailable. Maybe not every part of you, probably not that part of you that's conscious about wanting a relationship, but there is a part of you that's extremely resistant to it. So yeah.
And I'm going to say with that, sometimes it can be that there can be parts of that, but there's also I want someone so badly that I will take even someone who's unavailable.
Yes.
And that, when you really get down and look at it, says that you're unavailable too. So I'm agreeing with you, Nan. Yes.
Yeah. And usually the way I get it,
you sit there and go, why would I choose this person, or why? It really takes some time to think about it.
because usually, like, we talk about attachment, or let's say someone's unavailable and you become really anxious, so you just want to hold on to it, and people be like, oh, they're drawn to each other's opposites. But it's more like the one that's really anxious has suppressed the unavailable part that's kind of avoidance. So to find an integration between the two, you find what you would perceive as your polar opposite, but it's mostly to create like a integration within yourself. And the avoidant part is avoiding the part of itself that is in need of connection so much that it becomes like, you feel that it's a clingy part, and you perceive the other person as clingy. I don't know how you say that.
Clingy.
But clingy. Okay, thank you.
Good word.
So you're just kind of, the more you push them away, the clingier they become. But the key is to basically find the part of you that they trigger, and to kind of just marry that part.
Because this whole spiritual journey is about healing and learning and evolving.
Yes. Which is not always fun.
No, certainly not. No. Okay. Should I just grab another one?
I'm just waiting.
Sure. Okay. All right. So this one is from Danielle. And Danielle is someone that watches us all the time, and she always comments. I know this name. So hey, Danielle.
Yes.
Have not met
Hello,
her.
Danielle.
Let's see. I want to hear some experiences you have had with low vibrational energies or entities. So she wants to hear some experiences with some low vibrational entities. Whether it be cleansing a home or some sort of attachment, what is the lowest vibrational energy you have had to come across? What did it look like, and what did you do? Mari-Lyn, you've got to have the same one I do.
Wow. Which one? Because two are coming to mind. Which one are you thinking of?
So for me, I'll go yes. And there's actually a lot of them there's many that come to mind, but when Mari-Lyn and I very first started working together, I had my guardian team. I did not yet have my tools. They had not all come in. I had some, but not like I do today. And one of my mentors, he called me, and he works at this metaphysical store. And he called me and said, there is someone here who there are two men walked in, and one man said to him, my friend is possessed.
All right, I remember that.
Yes. And Rod's first was like, oh, come on. But the guy was really anxious. He was moving, he was whatever. So he called me because this, this was the first time I ever was someone who was possessed. This was my first possession. And I called and there was not enough time to drive to the store. So Mari-Lyn, I called Mari-Lyn, got her on the phone. So the three of us were on the phone together, and we had to do this over the phone. So we could not physically see what was going on. We could just hear these horrifying voices that were coming from this man. Rod was telling us what was happening. Rod is an extremely powerful person. He was absolutely the right person to be there with this
100%. Yeah.
person. He's incredibly powerful. And we were able to, I had to really listen to my guidance on this one. I mean, I always do, but this was there. I kept having fear come up, and I had to wash away the fear come up. It was a really frightening thing. I had never done it before. Mari-Lyn and I had just started working together. We weren't there on scene. We were over the phone, so you could only hear, you couldn't see. It was really something. Rod didn't know what he was doing. This was his first, I mean, first everywhere. And so I had to remember, spirit will not put us in any situation that we cannot handle. So I said, okay, whoo. So I had to take a deep breath, and I was helping to guide Rod a little bit, but he was there. He couldn't always hold the phone because he had to deal. This person was getting physical. Yep. And Rod's a big dude, so he was that was, but it was just really crazy. And so we were able to create a portal for my guardians of light were on both sides of this portal, and they were able to separate him from this man, separate this entity from this man, and get him to go. I would now do it differently because I've now had more experience with it and have learned what to do. But it was frightening. And that was the lowest entity I think that I've ever come across, as far as I know. And my guardians took him off to whatever spirit jail. And so that was for me, everything. Everything was brand new. everything was brand new. And so that was a little scary.
Yeah. It was frightening. Absolutely. And oh my gosh, intense.
So intense.
So intense.
Oh boy, yeah.
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 But like, what happened to the guy after? Like, the guy must have been exhausted. Like, did he have any memory? What did he say?
Yes. He did not have a lot of memory.
Like, what is he? What did anyone tell you guys? Like, what he has? Mercury. Damn it, Mercury.
I know, Mercury.
I can't get it out. Had he been doing something before? Like, how did this happen?
So,
like,
So afterward, they were able to talk to him, and Rod gave him a beautiful healing, and that all worked out. So he had been in a really this client, this one that was possessed, had been in a really depressed state. He'd been there were drugs and alcohol involved, which, as we know, lowers your vibration really. And we're not exactly sure how it happened, but so everyone knows this, and I want to be really clear. You have to allow this to happen. You have to invite something into your body. You can get jumped, you can get attachments. Those are different. A possession like this, you have to invite that entity in. So within his state of confusion, whatever he was going through, I think he was looking for something or someone to help, and he invited this in. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to reveal too much of his life. I would have to do that to tell the big story, but that would he was depressed. He was there were some drugs and alcohol involved, and he was looking for some sort of relief from his life. And it
Oh,
was
wow.
so he's fine now, but and it takes a while after something like that. You're in fear, and you have to try not to be in fear that it's coming back. You have to know what's
Yeah.
not, and
It's traumatic. It must be a
It
very
is.
traumatic, experience for him. And yeah, wow.
And Rod was amazing. Spent several days with him, continue with the energy healing and bringing in love, and really sort of supporting him and helping him through that. Yeah, it was.
Is he better now? Do you know? Like, does he feel?
I don't know. I have not heard anymore. That was years ago, and I have not heard anything else anymore.
Okay.
But so I'm going to assume that everything is.
In this case, I'm going with no news is good news.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So what about either of you with the low vibration?
I mean, I have a little story. I don't do this like you guys are like the paranormal queens. I don't really do that kind of work. So I don't
No, you don't.
the same type of beings in that way. Once when I worked years ago when I was a receptionist, I had so many careers you wouldn't even imagine. But one of them was being a receptionist. and
I'm going to say something really quick to that. Those of us who are psychic, we're also very creative, and we get bored easily.
Yes.
So
I liked all of my careers, but I just kind of wanted to try something. It doesn't matter. Well, anyway, I was a receptionist back then, and it was this very old building. I don't think I knew you back then, Pam. It was like, no, I didn't know you. It was like maybe 2013, 14, something like that. Yes, I didn't know you. Yeah, and I just my spiritual journey started like a few years before that, maybe 2011, 12 or something like that. And I had my gifts and all that, but I wasn't at all like I was a receptionist. I was young. I didn't want to work with psychic gifts. I was just kind of just getting started. But this place, it was so haunted and it was so old. Like even people that didn't believe in spirits, they ended up believing in spirits because it was a lot of activity. Like even my friends, when they came to visit me, they're like, God, I feel sick in here. I'm like, yeah, it's all the activity. I'm just used to it because it's my job. I have to stay here 8 hours a day. Like, what am I supposed to do? I always end up in these haunted places, but I never thought it was scary. It was just one of those. It is what it is. So I just kind of did my thing, and I remember I had to be the one that, because I was a receptionist, so I was the last one there. In the evening, I worked evenings. I worked from like 2 to like 10 in the evening or 9 in the evening. And when it was winter, it was really dark, and I had to close up the place and turn off the lights and all that. That was a little scary, and I was all alone there. And I remember talking to my friends always on the phone, like, you have to talk to me while I do this. And the place again was really, really old. It had this old elevator, like this really old, you have like this little hinge door or something like that. And I remember once, like you could see a lot of shadows and you could hear a lot of strange things, and you could see like physical shadows in the cameras and the security cameras. It was just crazy. It was like, especially in the basement. And it was like this, we had this sensor thing. When someone went down in the basement, it rang a little bell, because from the view I was sitting in, I couldn't see if anyone went down. And like, I had to just kind of keep control of the place. Like if anyone's down in the basement, so I don't lock up and someone's, I don't know, their clothes or whatever. So that thing kept clinging all the time, but there was no one there. And we had people fix it. And even the person fixing it was like, listen, people, there's nothing wrong with this. It's like, we fix it. So you clearly have ghosts here, obviously. Like there's nothing else to say because no one's going down there. And then I remember once, and a lot of people would fight in this. Like it was a good job, but like the energy was heavy. It was a heavy energy. Yep. Everybody was just kind of bickering at each other. And I remember after a few years, like that was like my longest job. I think I was there for like 2 or 3 years or something, which is a long time for me. I just want to say it was very long. So in the end, I kind of had to quit too, because I was just exhausted. But I remember one day I was sitting with the janitor, and he was really funny. We used to just sit and he had a little break. We used to just chit chat and talk. And from the corner, it was like from the corner of the room we were sitting in, it was like this, and it's not like, oh, I see it in my mind. Like I see it physically. It was like this black energy that just started growing from the corners out. And I remember I got so shocked because I'd never seen it like that. And I was looking at it, and I was looking at the janitor like, can you see that? Like usually I don't talk about things like that, but it was like, you have to see that. And he couldn't see it. He's like, wow, what have you been smoking? I'm like, I haven't been smoking anything. and I remember how it kind of shifted from black to gray. It almost had these pixels, and it was just growing from the corner out. Like it was gonna take. It was the most bizarre thing ever. And a while after that, I quit. It was this old school for like an old girls' school. So it was like over 100 years old. It used to be a school just for young girls back in the days when we used to like divide them up.
Yes.
So God knows what happened in that building, but it was a lot.
Wow. Yeah. I'm glad you left there. You
Yeah.
stayed there a long time in that
I did.
type energy, which is
Yeah.
so unhealthy, and no wonder everyone was fighting, and yeah.
But I used to have these weird dreams about the place. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting. It was interesting. But that's the only story I can think of, and I can't even call that like a lower vibrational entity. I think it was just the energy of the building kind of manifesting itself. Yeah. I don't think it was one entity. No.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Spirit was letting you know that it's time to start your journey. Yes.
Oh yeah. Like I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna start it then.
Okay, Mari-Lyn, what about you?
Well, absolutely. The possession was the lowest thing that I have ever come across.
Yeah.
The very first thing that crossed my mind was, and this isn't even the next lowest vibration I think that I've come across, but Pam, you and I were clearing a house, and I was crossing a woman over, and I remember saying, Pam, I can't move.
Oh, that's
What happened?
I'm frozen. And
Yes.
I remember feeling absolutely paralyzed. I wasn't afraid, but I couldn't move.
Couldn't move. Yeah.
I could not move. And I remember having my eyes closed, and all of a sudden, all I could see was like black marble in front of me.
Yes.
Black marble.
And you're like, I'm stuck in black marble. And I'm like, what the hell is she
What
talking
have you been smoking?
You know, we were in like a bedroom. And
Yep,
it was
we
so
were.
funny.
And I'm like, don't know what to do. I'm just really not quite sure what's happening here.
Yes. That was so funny.
Yeah,
Sorry,
turned
not
out.
for you, but it was hilarious for me. Yes.
Geez. I think we determined he was some kind of a trickster, a magician. I don't quite remember exactly what.
Called himself a magician, if I
A magician. Yeah.
I had encounters with those trickster beings. Yeah.
They're ones, aren't they?
Yep. Yes.
And it was absolutely an illusion. An absolute illusion. He tricked me into believing I was frozen.
I'm going to say this. Even Fred was laughing because it was so funny. But it was an illusion. That's what it was able to do. Made Mari-Lyn actually think she was like frozen in marble.
Yeah. It
was
was the most, I think it was the most bizarre experience.
I can imagine.
Because I don't know, had I actually taken a beat and really felt into what was happening, I would have realized it, but no, it's
but
Pam,
if I remember correctly too, the homeowner was there, so we had to be careful not to scare the shit out of her. Right? Yes.
God, but isn't that also funny? Like how, like I really learned that nothing can control us; it can only influence us. And if we believe it, like you can play with you can manipulate someone to like change their free will, but it's how our mind, how powerful it is. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a being. Wow.
It was so funny.
Yes.
So funny. Yeah.
I wish I was there.
We've come across many different beings, different entities that are of very low vibration, and But yep, those would be it.
And yeah, I'm gonna say that from experience that the go-to when we come into contact with these low vibrations, being in love.
Yeah.
Being in love.
Being in love.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
hate
high
that.
vibration. Yeah.
And have spirit. We just did a video which will be out next week, where honor was the vibration. And so you really, most of the time it's love. Sometimes they'll toss in some compassion, whatever, and you just go with what your guidance tells you. And yesterday, was it yesterday? A couple days, whatever that was, yesterday, it was all about honor. And it was beautiful. You'll all see it next week, and we talk about it on that video. So yeah, but it was but it's all getting out of fear and whatever it is that's going to, because we were standing in honor these entities that typically want to hurt people. We honored their journey and honored that they were there, and we stood in honor and they knew how powerful we are. And so then they didn't want to hurt us or try anything. We weren't there to get them to leave. We weren't there to do anything. We were just observing what was going on. We were not called there to do anything, so we couldn't. So anyway, that was a great question. Yeah. Okay. Mari-Lyn, do you want to?
Yeah. We have one more from a different social media account. So I will do that. And then the rest of them, I think, are all printed comments. This is from Mira. And she says, sorry, she wrote a lot. I'm trying to find the actual question. What does it mean if you hear your name called? It happens in my family a lot. And so she's talking about being out in public and hearing your name called. And that's a great question. I've had personal experience with that. My sister, who's been gone for, over 14 years now, she she used to, I'm going to say it was probably within the first 5 years of her passing. I would be out in public and I would hear her say my name from behind me so often. So often. Every time it was simply a matter of her letting me know her energy is around me. Simply letting me know I was loved, I am loved, and that everything is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in a situation where you're in a place that has a lot of activity, there are spirits who've been around a while, and they might call your name to throw you off balance, that kind of thing. But really, other than that situation, it's typically a loved one or a guide. There's someone, and I don't mean to scare you, but it's like, look,
it can be very frightening.
Like, where did that come from out of nowhere? There's no one even here, or there's a crowd of people, and you can tell the difference that it's coming through the dimension as opposed to being in the third dimension.
That happened. I told you guys. When was that? Like 2 weeks ago. I told you it happened to me right before I fell asleep. God, and it was scary, definitely.
Yeah, it's
like,
very
like,
scary.
What the hell? Like, who's in my house?
And really, what Fred is saying now is that it's meant to. It's similar to like seeing numbers all the time. You know, sometimes you'll see sequential numbers all the time. It's to remind you that you're doing the right things, you're on the right path, you're moving forward, you're where you're supposed to be. It's just a little more startling when it happens that way. Yes.
What's also coming is that it can also be a a signal. Pay attention. Maybe you're not in your body, you're just out in Neverland, and you need to bring your attention to the present, what you're doing. And they'll do that sometimes to get you back.
Because it pulls you back fast.
Oh, real quick. Real quick.
Oh yeah. If you were out of body before, you're not gonna get out of body.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Yes. So I hope that was helpful. Great question.
Yes.
That was a great question. That was a beautiful answer. Yeah. Usually it's like, just a reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I forgot to, we forgot to talk about, that there will actually be a drawing.
The drawing?
Right.
When we did the ask people for questions, we just spaced off saying, hey, and there'll be a drawing too. So
we did.
But there will be. So,
good.
Yeah. Whoops.
You know.
Forgot that part. Okay. Ready for another one?
Ready for another one.
This is PhotoCaz.
Okay.
If one gets icy cold and senses someone near or touching, is that someone an entity or a ghost that is earthbound, or can it be someone you know who has crossed and is just visiting?
I mean, I want to say that
So
I think
what? Go ahead.
No, I just want to say I think that like people like to generalize, like, oh, if it's an angel, it feels warm. If it's a ghost, it feels cold.
Right,
If it's
right.
this, it feels like that. And I think that's more very subjective. Like, I'm personally a very cold person. If I would feel cold every time a spirit come, I'd be dead by now. Like, I wouldn't have any body.
Right.
So I think I personally get that that's very just the way you sense energy.
Yep.
Mhm.
Typically, in this situation, now paranormal stuff is a little different. Okay, so I want everyone to sort of separate the paranormal from the, well, actually, she does ask about an earthly or a ghost, or is it crossed over loved one? But if a spirit, whether it's crossed over, a ghost, whatever, if they're actually touching you, like Nan said, it's however your physical body takes that. But a crossed over loved one, their energy, they are vibrating at such a high vibration. Sometimes it can be, you just kind of get chills down your spine. It's more, it's more
of a sensation than an actual temperature.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, I would agree that,
Yeah, and the temperature part is more typically, it's, blah, 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 golly.
I know when the frequency changes, for me, when the frequency just changes of a place, I can feel it either hotter or colder.
Yes.
It depends on just feeling the energy.
Yeah. Now, if you're in a place that is, has a lot of activity there, and you're getting cold, like there's just this coldness to it, that can be your energy draining. It could be your sinuses, everything getting dry. Drink lots and lots and lots of water.
Right.
Have some electrolytes, whatever. But yeah, so I hope that answered the question. I'm not sure if it did or not. But
unfortunately, that's one of those questions there isn't really a specific answer to.
No.
It's kind of all subjective to how you receive energy. So
yeah.
Yeah. So should I just go right to the next one I have on top?
Yep.
Okay. Skilled Legend. Skilled Legend.
I like that name.
Yes.
Okay. So this was their question originated from, it looks like a video we did in the Hinsdale house.
Oh, one of those ones they asked a question, we said, make sure to ask it the next.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read the whole thing. I brought this up during the Hinsdale House video. The person who bought the land and house mentioned that the original plan was for the city or state to tear or burn the house down. How would that affect the spirits that go across that unhealed highway? Also, would that satisfy, for a lack of a better word, the curse on the land to get rid of the house? Basically, I want to know, would there have been a more beneficial outcome, or would the scars still be present that need to be fixed?
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there is.
So the building is in 3D. So burning it down, getting rid of it is not going to get rid of the dimensions that are there. Spirits can choose to stay there. They will stay like there is a house there, wherever they are, doing their thing, bumping around, or they'll move on. Very often, if there's not a house there, that then means that people aren't going to come and visit. So they don't often stay because they want to be around living people. I know that we have used the word, I use the word curse, like someone cursed the land or whatever. I'm really not, I don't know how much curses that word in the way it's used here. Anyway, I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
So the land, whomever owns the land would have to ask us to come and clear it and heal it. That's how that works. I can't say can't. If this were federal land, something like that, the state owns it, whatever, it's for all of us to go and enjoy. We can go and we can do some healing with that land. If it's privately owned, the owners have to ask us to come and do that. To clear it away, clear out any spirits, get rid of the curse.
And
I'm not even sure if I answered that.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that burning the house down would not necessarily do anything to help the land, the earth itself.
No. Right.
It's so much more involved than just.
Yes. And everything, what's coming to me too, as you're saying that, is a curse is an energetic binding or an energetic something. They're so you can remove anything energetic. Any of us, like the three of us, we can remove anything that's energetic. I'm not even sure if we answered that question. I don't know. So
I hope we at least gave a little insight into that.
It would not remove the unhealed highway. I pulled it up right here.
Okay.
And also, would that satisfy, for lack of a better word, the curse on the land? No, someone has to go in energetically and take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have a shaman would be beneficial to no house there. Land, a shaman would be. You get rid of that. You get rid of the energy, whatever that is that's binding it. You bring in high vibration. You also, with the land, you bring gifts. You might plant a tree. You might, whatever it is that they would tell you to bring. We're often told to bring like tobacco or rosemary, those sorts of things as an offering to the land, as sort of forgiveness or to make amends, etc. So no, burning the house down, getting rid of the house, tearing it down, whatever, will not get rid of activity because it's all energetic. That takes care of the physical part, so people aren't going to go there. So I guess in that way it helps. Like I'm not going to go there because there's not a house there.
Right.
So
It might change it, but it's not going to solve it, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Nan.
Oh my God.
Hanging out waiting.
Oh dear.
Oh, here's one I bet Nan Okay, so this one's from Billy Dre. What is the best advice one of your guides has ever given you? That's a good question.
I have a lot of those. How much time do we
Yeah,
have?
and a lot. Yes.
Oh, I mean, well, the latest, if we just go with the latest, because I mean,
Yes.
I've been through a lot of hard situations, just like everyone. I've been feeling bad and low in my life. So my guides and that guidance and advice, without that, I don't know where I would be. So I don't know which one of them to pick, but the latest one was when I had kind of a lot of anxiety. I've been in my home country. I've my anxiety levels were just kind of a little higher than usual. And I remember I was talking to my guides, and I was kind of talking about like what happens when I just get more anxiety than usual. I mean, we all get anxiety every once in a while, but like what is that really? Like, how can I define that? Because I'm a person that, like, if I understand things, for me, it's a lot easier to bear it in a way. It's like, okay, I understand it, so it's not as
You
confusing.
air sign you, yes.
Yes. And I remember that I heard very clearly that it's when my fear is bigger than my faith, and that made a lot of sense to me. So
Yes. Oh, that gave me chills. That's
yes, I remember. I thought that was really beautiful. And just every time I struggled with kind of knowing what the right thing is to do, I've always gotten, I guess, just guidance on how to treat people with respect, but still have boundaries. That there's always like this middle way of things, that it's not so black and white with everything, that you can be very firm in what you want, but you can still do it in a very polite way, that you don't have to be a bitch about things to get your point across, and you don't have to be a pushover to be kind. That's still kind of hard to integrate most of the time, but I think with those things they said, it definitely added a new perspective to a lot of struggles I had. And that love is not supposed to feel like an obligation to someone.
Ooh, that's another beautiful one.
Yes.
That it's more like control than it is love.
Yeah.
So I think and also the biggest one is, before you make any decision in your life, always make sure that it comes from a space of love.
Yes.
Because that's going to be the outcome is going to be something from inspiration. If you do it out of fear, you're just going to run back right into the same fear that you were trying to run away from, and it's not going to be pretty. And that's also kind of like, every time it happens. But and they also remind me that you will make a lot of decisions based on fear, and that's okay, but try to like be mindful every time it happened, and be like, oh no, I did that and this happened, okay, so next time I'll try to do different. And mostly just to have mercy on myself. The best advice they ever gave me is just to not be hard on myself, that I'm doing my best and that we're all doing our best, and that's all I ask for them. So.
I'm going to say, one of the beautiful things about a message from Spirit, they're very few words, but the impact is huge.
Yeah, it's like,
they don't talk in like these big long paragraphs. They just don't. They have just a few words, and the impact is great, and it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, so like simple things like that. Yeah, they're just everyday life issues, I guess, emotional issues that just seem to be the hardest for us humans for some reason. Yeah.
That's for sure. What about you, Mari-Lyn?
Oh gosh. I'm going to say the overall best advice that, oh man, I can't say overall.
Just like Nan said, well, we'll go with the latest one. Then she,
oh my gosh,
5 or 6 flew out, because they're just come all the time. I mean, they're just
they're
above another.
There are so many. Okay, I have 3.
Okay.
None of them will really go into too much depth with, but the biggest was to accept sobriety by far. Listening to that guidance to accept sobriety saved my life by far. The next big one I'm going to say was the step to continue this spiritual journey with Pam.
Aw.
Because I can so clearly remember, putting it aside, hearing, isn't that exactly what you've been looking for? Maybe I'll go. Yeah. The latest one I'm going to say is removing my anchor from someone else's path.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Jumping into other people's shit. And none of your business.
It is none of our business. Whether we're, keeping our side of the street clean, staying in our own lane, staying on our own side of the fence. We do. Our paths cross with people, and sometimes we tend to anchor into their path instead of just letting our paths cross. And taking the advice of removing my anchor from someone else's path very recently was so huge, so huge. And it opened up healing for me in more than one area. And I'm going to say that it's opened up healing for this other person now, because I'm not trying to control it.
You're not in the way.
I'm not in the way.
Yeah.
Not trying to take away their lessons. So those right there are probably my 3 top.
Yes. And I do want to add something. Hopefully you don't mind me saying this, but
Do not.
13 years
Coming up on it. Yep.
On that sobriety path.
Yep.
Yeah. So woohoo.
Coming up. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mari-Lyn. And is it also beautiful somehow that I can imagine in that guidance, it was never like a forcing, like, now you're going to be sober, now you have to do that. It was more like just a nudging, like try to accept, like just like, or how was that?
Okay. Yes, there was a lot of nudging.
Yeah.
Until I got thrown down the stairs.
Okay. You had to get to that point.
I
Okay.
had to get thrown down the stairs.
Yeah.
I
listened before I lost everything.
Okay, good. Oh, okay. No.
But I did have to get thrown down the stairs.
Yeah. And that's a metaphorical thing, getting thrown down the stairs. We're not physically getting thrown down the stairs.
Yeah.
You sure?
Although we have tripped and bumped into stuff and whatever.
But yes. Energetically thrown down those stairs.
Yes. Mine would be the beautiful being who was my father in this lifetime is one of my guides, and he's a very high vibrational being. You two know him. Anyone that knows me ends up, meeting my dad and whatever. But he is one of my guides, and he was taking me through. I was going through this healing, and there was this spot where I was stuck. I had this block, and I was so stuck, and I couldn't get past it, and I was like shaking in fear. And he just looked at me and he said, "You're not scared." I was like, "Yes, I am." And he's like, "No, you're not. You're not." Like, he was so just like, "No, you're not." And I went, "Okay, I'm not." And I repeat that to myself, or I'll hear him say it, or Fred will say it, or something like, "You're not scared." And that just, like, in my brain, it's like, okay, you're right. I'm not scared. This is an illusion. Fear is a lie. It lies to us. It's an illusion. And so that just real quick, you're not scared. Mari-Lyn, you've even said it to me.
I have.
You're not frightened. You're not scared. Whatever.
You're not scared.
Just stop. You're being stupid.
Don't be silly. Oh
Yes.
yeah. But like you said, it's so few words sometimes, but it just
Yes.
makes the biggest
Yep.
impact. I don't think it would even make a big impact impact if it was this long lecture, like listen up now,
Right.
we're gonna have a talk
Right.
about
Sit down.
Yeah.
Here's something to eat. We're gonna have talk here.
Gonna have that talk. Nah.
Yeah. No. And I think that's something too for everyone to when you're, especially when you're starting this journey, you know, you hear all of us say, oh, I was talking to my guides, or I had blah, 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 my guides were saying. And when you're starting, you sometimes think, what's wrong with me? I don't have these long conversations. I don't get to sit and just talk. It's like, it doesn't work. That's really, when we talk about talking to our guides, it's really quick. And sometimes it's just a knowing. They're just dumping information down, but it's not, you're not having big, long conversations like this. It's just, you get these few words. They're incredibly impactful. And if you allow it, it'll just change everything. So
I also get that because our guides don't want us to just talk to us all the time. They want us to live life. Like they're learning through watching us, and they're like, wasting a lot of time here sitting talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Go get some friends or something.
Okay.
That was a good question. I like that question a lot.
Yep, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Here's another sort of paranormal-y one. Sorry, Nan, but Nan, you'll have answers too. This is Some of All Things.
Mm-hmm.
One. We kind of just went over this, but what is the etiquette or rules between public land, private land, business, homes, abandoned homes, as in what is or isn't okay for clearing, healing, or moving earthies or low vibration? This seems very complex to me and just want a clearer understanding of why and why not. So we have to be, okay, so earthies can ask to be crossed over, and we will do that. If you don't, if we're in your home and you have an earthie running around, someone has to ask me to cross that earthie over, either the earthie or the homeowner. If neither one, then there's nothing I can do. Now, if a homeowner, a landowner, a business owner, whatever says, we have activity, I want you to come and clear this out, I don't have to wait for the earthie to ask me, because the 3D person takes precedence at that time. That's their building. They have the right to have that earthie there. Now, rarely, very rarely does, Fred will say, this earthie has a lot more work to do. They want to stay. I will take him somewhere, him or her, somewhere else. And so they can work out their issues before they cross over. It's very rare that happens, but it does. Most of the time, you just start talking to the earthie and immediately the earthie says, please take me home. I want to go. Mari-Lyn, do you have something else to add?
No, not about that. No.
And it does ask, can land itself be healed? Yes, absolutely. I'm going to, there's a question here that I think we should answer because it's been asked of us before, and it's this thing, Some of All Things, but what is multidimensional healers exactly, or basic description of that area? Well, all three of us are multidimensional healers. Even though Nan doesn't, seek out multidimensional, lower dimensional beings, she speaks to and has conversations with and whatever higher dimensional beings. So a multidimensional being, or being a healer, means I can heal a spirit, I can heal a human, I can heal an animal, I can heal the earth or the land. So, and that means bringing that energy, whatever type of energy it is, to a place of love and to a higher vibration. So bringing it back to its intended vibration, the intended where it is meant to be.
Mhm.
To
So
its
that
essence.
would, go ahead.
To its essence.
There you go. It's essence. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not every healer is multidimensional. They have some sort of dimensional thing because they're bringing in they're bringing in the energy. Okay, there's another part of it too. So you've all heard of like Reiki masters, etc. They have the energy running through them and out their hands and into the person. That's how they do their healing. We all can do that too. And on top of that, so that's sort of multidimensional because the energy is coming from a very high vibration coming down through the dimensions, through you into this other person. So there's a portion of it. Then on top of that, I have, these two ladies do it as well, but I have multidimensional beings that actually do the healing for me as well. So I'm getting their energy plus they are doing the work too. So we are all healing together in this from the multi dimensions.
It's like a psychic surgery.
There you go. Mari-Lyn does that. Yes. Yeah.
Quite familiar with psychic surgery.
Yes. Yeah. So everything is multidimensional about it. And again, not everyone, and that doesn't make me special or not special. That was just the gift I chose to possess when I came down to this in this lifetime. So, and I know a lot of Reiki masters who are beautiful healers. So I just want to make sure that no one thinks that I'm putting anyone down because I'm not. It's just different. But that was with the multi-dimensions.
That was a good explanation.
Yeah. Okay.
Great questions.
Mari-Lyn, do you want to ask the next
All right. This question is from Lynette. What can we do to say or offer reassurance and peace when someone is getting close to death? Do they move on immediately or will they stay here for a period of time? How can we make this time as special and loving and calming for that person?
We have answered this before in other Q&As. I think this probably something similar to this comes up in every Q&A.
I also remember us answering something similar.
Yes.
And I understand that that's something like,
yeah, right.
It's a tough situation. Yeah. It's like you want to do the best you can when someone you love is passing away. Yeah.
Listen, I would say the most compassionate thing you could do for them is to listen and not discard what they say. They could be a lot in fear. They're telling you their fears. Don't dismiss it. Don't say, oh, it's not going to be like that, or oh, everything's going to be okay, or oh, everything. Just hold space for them in that space of love and compassion and just listen. 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 Did I say that enough? I think that's the biggest thing is to listen and just hold that vibration and let them know they're going home. At some point, you let them know, you say, you really are going to a beautiful place. And this is a beautiful transition, but listen to their fears. Listen to what they have to say. If they're worried that their dog's not going to be taken care of, don't just say, oh, he'll be taken care of. Like, listen to that, understand that. And I'm so sorry that frightens you. I understand. And I will, your dog is going to be fine. He'll be taken care of, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. But listen to the fear. Don't dismiss it. Don't try to make everything all better. Just be there in the moment and listen to them.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
I would add to that, being in love. You said that, holding that vibration of love, doing your best not to take on their fear.
Yeah. Yes.
Compounding their fear isn't helpful. And by listening to them, that doesn't mean that you are commiserating with them and jumping into their fear with them. So being in love, there are times where giving them permission to leave can be very beneficial. In my experience, I hate to say I've had a lot, but in my experience, that is something that you have to be open to hearing from your guidance when this person needs to know they need permission from you to leave, because they might be worried about leaving you and letting them know that you're going to be okay, and that they are the ones, they need to take care of themselves, moving on, getting healed.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we do stay around for about a week or so. Oftentimes people want to go to their own funeral. They kind of want to see who's there and what's going on. There's no judgment in it, really. Well, sort of, but there's.
I want people to cry when it happens.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not crying, people, I'm gonna punch you.
You better cry, damn it. Oh, and then they go. So. Okay,
Yeah.
next question.
Okay.
That was a good question. Thank you, Lynette.
Oh, this is a good one. Jessica, why is it that all psychics and mediums never explain things the same? Everyone answers differently to all questions. It's confusing to me. If it's all mostly the same, why are all answers so different?
Because I'm not sure who told you it was all mostly the same, but it isn't. But Nan, do you want to answer that about?
I mean, I get that
we're all different people. We have different experience. Sorry.
No. I was just gonna try
I say an answer that I go on.
Not all. Some people, when they work with their gifts, sometimes they let their ego take over a lot.
Yes.
So if something doesn't make sense, it's usually the ego involved. It's not that they are fake or they have ill intentions. It's just that maybe they haven't done enough work on their own selves to kind of like differentiate what do I want to present this as and what's the actual fact.
Yes.
Other times I would say it's because it depends on who's asking and what the question is. It's like if someone's
what
asking,
the situation is. Yeah,
exactly. Like some people need to hear one part of the perspective, and other people depending on the situation needs to hear something totally different because they need different type of guidance. If it's that she means like talk of dimensions and all that, I will also say it's definitely either the ego is involved or people get, like you said, we're different. We get different experiences. We feel things differently. We see things differently. We use different words. Sometimes we might mean the same thing. We just maybe use different words.
That's a big one. Yes.
I do understand that it can get confusing. Yeah, because it's like, what are all these people claiming to be psychic? No one can agree with each other. I get that that's like really like, what is going on?
Yes.
So I would go with like, work on yourself, work on your own, meditate, heal, be on the spiritual journey, and then really feel with your intuition, what do you feel is right for you?
Yes, that's a good point. And if you have 3 people telling you 3 different things, take a deep breath, stop, which one feels right for you? And don't be afraid to change your mind. Things change.
Yes.
Things do change. I've changed my mind many a time over the years.
Sure.
You know, because everything is evolving all the time, and we're all different. We all have different experiences. We're all different people, different parts of the world. I mean, there's always all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, like say different cultures, different beliefs. It's like, definitely. Yeah. And I think a lot is the language we use. It's really hard to explain. I mean, you ladies know, like explaining different dimensions or entities, how they work with human language. It's really hard sometimes.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And we all have to remember there is not one solid answer for everything. And many things can exist at the same time.
I say there could be multiple answers for the same thing too.
Yes,
absolutely. And there are things that we do not know, that we cannot understand, and our brain still tries to make an answer to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not math, which is an exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
Exactly.
It isn't. No, it isn't. So that was a great question, though. That
That
was.
was.
Mhm. It really was.
I
And just-
understand the confusion. It's like, come on, people, just agree on it so we can get some,
Yes.
we call
Yes.
it some certainty
But
on this. But
Jessica, please take Nana's advice and start your own journey and move through and do what feels right for you. And if something, I know I've mentioned this before, but I had a friend who is a shaman, and she has a very heightened sense of smell, like energetic smell. And
cool.
she'll say, this doesn't smell right. And so she would say to me, does it smell right? And I go, no. Well, then it's not right. You know, does it smell? Do the smell test. Does it smell right?
If it smells like bullshit, probably.
Right. If it smells like bullshit, it probably is. Look for the bull. Look for the cow.
Mhm.
And or it might be. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mari-Lyn. Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, it's just what's not right for one person could be perfectly right for another person.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's bullshit. Sometimes it's just that it's not the right information for you right now. And it is what it is.
And I want to say something else before we move on. I know a lot of psychics. I've been in this business for a long time. I know lots of people, and lots of people need lots of healing, and their ego gets involved a lot. And one reason I don't have a lot of, I mean, these are my beautiful psychic friends right here, but other than them, I don't spend a lot of time with it because they're what we call unhealed healers. They're wanting the gifting and to show their gifting without doing the work, without the healing. And that's where really that's the smell test right there. It's like, and it may not be like that they're trying to BS or whatever. They really believe it, but it's coming from their ego, or they're so ungrounded, they're getting all kinds of crazy information So smell test. Do what's right for you. Start your journey. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Jessica. Great question.
It was.
Okay. Lindsay, Elliott. Would you change anything about your abilities, whether it be you wish you didn't have them or could just live normal?
Good question.
No, I would not change mine at all. No, I would not change mine. I love what I have. There are times like these two ladies have amazing gifts. And I think, I would love to have those. But
guilty.
I can only be the best Pam that I can be. I can't be a Nan. I can't be a Mari-Lyn. I can't do that. And I do live very normally. We all do. One of the things that, if you're talking about normal being, I'm not always listening to spirit, I'm not always on.
No, but we would go crazy if I did that all the time. I was like, no.
One of the things that we teach is you have to be in this 3D world and you have to go through it.
Don't they say, like, even if you would reach some kind of enlightenment or whatever you do, when people have this goal with the spiritual path, you still have to like carry water and chop wood. It's like, it's not going to stop having like,
there you go. Yes.
I have to vacuum, my dishes are waiting, I have to pay my bills. So, if spirit can't do that, I don't know like what to do.
Yes. And we all have family that are not psychic. So you can't be in that communing with spirit all the time. It doesn't happen.
Does not work.
You have to have like your feet on the ground at some point. It's like you have to live life. I think that if you do engage too much with spirit, then you have to ask yourself, am I trying to escape this reality for something? Am I avoiding something?
And I know a lot of people, psychics do that. They stay up in the ethers all the time.
And I think that's normal. I did that in the beginning of my journey too, because I didn't feel good, but it wasn't until like starting to heal that was like, okay, this doesn't really work.
So you met me and I said, "Whoo, girl,
Yeah,
you grounded."
I'm ground. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I am in awe of other people's abilities all the time, and I think they're beautiful. And yeah, I wouldn't want to change mine because they're mine and they're very personal. Yeah. Every person, even if you, and I've said it before, I know, but you could line up 10 people who are all clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them is going to have different abilities. Every one of them is going to do that differently. Yeah. And that's the beauty of what we do, is very individual, very, very individual and lovely. Is there a way to tell if you're dealing with what you call a trickster or an actual conscious spirit? Those are both the same thing.
I mean,
a trickster is conscious. They're a conscious spirit. A conscious spirit and a trickster, yeah, they're gonna.
Mari-Lyn, you want to go ahead and answer that? Horrible. I recognize that,
Mari-Lyn. Okay, so yes, there is a way to tell.
Yeah.
It takes experience. It takes practice. It takes trust.
It takes getting tricked. At least
it takes getting tricked. You know, the best way to learn a lesson is to go through the experience. Yeah.
Whether it's a person in a deva or not, you got to go through it. You've got to experience it once, and then it's like, oh, I know that now.
Yep. Yeah. Life experience, however it comes, is the best teacher.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They like to hang around people that can be really manipulative, and I don't always mean manipulative in a bad way. Like you can manipulate someone to do something that they want, to a positive thing. But I just mean people that are really good at using their mind in this very what do you call like a fox? What would you put the quality on a fox? What do you call that?
Cunning.
Yeah, cunning people. And I don't mean only negative. I mean a lot of people that have the ability to
they're very cunning. They can make you And if you're living in fear, if you have a lot of fear, if you have a lot of low vibration in you, they can trick you more than they can someone who isn't living that way. So they're crazy like a fox.
Which I will say, in my experience with that trickster that I talked about earlier, he absolutely caught me in a vulnerable time of fear and doubt.
Yep.
Yeah. See, he knew that. He was just kind of waiting.
Yep.
And like,
He's like,
we got her.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. But I really like the encounters. I haven't had many encounters with them. It's mostly like 2 or 3 times. I don't feel like they're malicious. Like it's more like just a trickster. Like they think it's fun.
Yep.
Because they can do it. It's like I do it because I can. You know, like you don't want to be freaked.
He had no intention of hurting me. No.
Like just because
and he was laughing his head off.
Yeah.
Right along with Fred and me.
I wish I was there.
And I will say too, you have to laugh at it. Laughter lightens the energy. Our guides will often, at times, whether we're in paranormal stuff or whatever's going on, they'll bring in some jokes and laughter. And I almost fell off
all the time. Yeah.
So anyway.
I always, when I talk to my guides and when I think I'm super funny, I always joke with them. I'm like, you're so lucky to have me, you know, like, they're like, yeah, me, because we're having so much fun, you know?
I am so funny.
I'm hilarious, clearly, like, come on, yeah?
Myself, I cracked myself up.
I'm sitting here talking to nothing, yeah,
oh, that's so good. Oh. Okay. So
is it my turn?
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll go. We have Rachel Kimber.
Okay.
How do you tell residual energy from non-residual energy?
Good question.
Yeah.
Again, it's for us, we've just encountered it so often. So non-residual would typically just be there's a lot of different types of energies as well. So non-residual, if you're talking about an entity, it's because it's conscious. It'll interact with you. This is on a very basic, I'm giving you very basic how a non-psychic person could tell. Residual is just like a tape playing over and over again. It does the same thing at the same time every day. You could try and talk to it and do something and nothing different happens. And a conscious spirit will do different things. It can interact with you, etc. So that's it. For us, we usually, there's a feeling to it. There's a density to a conscious spirit versus a residual. For me, this is my personal, residual has a weird, or I should say a conscious spirit has like this weird vibration, like it moves. It's a moving, kind of like sparkly. I'm going to say that kind of like sparkly, where residual won't have really that much. It's more solid and it doesn't shimmer. Shimmer, that might be a good word.
Yeah, I was going to say for me, the residual energy is more flat.
Flat, perfect word. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, and we've talked before about how earthbound spirits can be, I don't want to use the word powerful, but they have more knowledge, more experience, they've gained more power. Some that are just very weak. And it's those weak earthbounds that sometimes it's hard for me to tell the difference between them and residual unless I'm having, some interaction with them where I can get that different movement as opposed to just that running tape.
Yeah. So, yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
I think she has another one, right?
Yeah. Her next one we've already, I think, answered about tingling sensations on your head and or goosebumps. Does that indicate an entity or a spirit near you?
I think we answered that last time.
Yeah.
This one is her third one. I'd like to answer because do you guys physically see entities and spirits that normal people can't see?
I do sometimes, yes. But it doesn't look like, it looks like most of the time colors or shimmer, like Pam says, or moving. Have you seen like heat when it comes off of things?
Oh,
perfect.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's moving.
Yeah. Now you see them outside your body too, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't typically do that. So
it's not something I would want to say is the most fun thing in life. I think if anything, I would want to, yeah. Because sometimes when the veil is really thin, it could be a lot of those activities. I've just kind of gotten used to it. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm really, when I'm really low, when I feel really bad, it kind of stops. It doesn't at all. It's like, it's not bothering me at all. It's like, when I'm near her, like her energy is not great today. Yeah.
This is a situation where all three of us have a clairvoyance piece to our gifting, and they're all three very different.
Very different.
I also want to add, just because you can see it physically doesn't mean that it's going to tell you more than seeing it in like vision. No. Honestly, half of the time I have no idea what I'm looking at because it's
yes.
I don't know, like seeing is not always believing, and it doesn't give me a lot of
because you can see them does not make you a medium either.
No, I mean,
true.
like you
very
said,
true.
Yeah, there are a lot of people, like you said, like if there's a lot of activity, it manifests so much that it kind of gets like a apparition or whatever you say. And like I said, I don't think I've ever, except if there's a certain color, because I tie the color to
Yes, you do the color
And
thing a
energy.
lot.
Yeah, but that's just what works for me. So I can read it like that. But most of the time when I see it, I very rarely interact with it too much, unless I want to. But usually it happens not because I'm calling on a spirit, because it just happens to be there. So I think most of the time it's not, it just happens to be there. We just happen to see each other like, oh, like a person on the street, like, oh shit, there you are. Oh, there you are. Okay, bye. kind of thing.
I don't see them outside of my, I don't see them physically outside of myself. It's all pictures I get in my head. And clairvoyance is like my third or fourth strongest clair. So I'm cognizant, which I've talked about. And I don't get a lot of color either. Mostly it's shades of gray, you know? So I see that, I see them differently. I've had, you know, there are people who aren't psychic who've probably seen physically outside themselves. They've seen more than I have.
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't
because it's not the same. I don't feel it.
Because you still have to interpret it. Like in any way, like even if I started talking, even if I would sense my guide or see my guide shimmer looking like heat or like color, which sounds crazy now that I say it out loud, but I still have to get visions, words, something. It's not like it's an entity going like, hello, Nan, here I am. For me, maybe some people experience that. For me, it's not like that. Yeah, that would be really annoying if I had something looking like a person looking solid talking to me. I think that would be way too strange.
That's really rare. I know many. It's like you do with now spirits who've crossed completely healed spirits who come down, they have to lower themselves and we have to go up to meet them. That's where the healed ones. There's more of that kind of conversation there, and that could be more of a conversation, or them saying, "Hello, Nan, how are you?" You know, that like the paranormal stuff, the lower vibrational.
I think it's, from what I get, I think it's a lot more normal when you're a kid, because you know I think that everybody's sensitive as a child. We still have those abilities. Some of us just choose not to like keep up with them. Some of us choose to do it. I think it's spirit's way to, because kids are naturally very high vibrational. They don't have to raise their energy. They just kind of are in between worlds all the time.
They just came from home, so they're
right. Well, I think to not scare children, that definitely, like spirits, they can manifest like as people looking more human, to make it just easier on, like, it would be weird to have some weird being coming in shimmering or something. I don't know. I think it's more normal with kids, but then you kind of just
I think
I see both ways, right? Outside and in my head. I do sometimes get really envious though of people that see like the solid apparitions, because I very rarely do I see like that solid person. I wish I did, but I'm not gonna lie.
They know they don't have to do that to get us to see them, so they don't know a way to use all that energy to do that, because we can talk to them without that.
That's true. I'm gonna still pout about it though.
How do you see it, Mari-Lyn? Like when you see it physically, how does it look to you? Does it look like heat or something?
When you were talking about that heat, it's similar to that. It's very faint though. Or I see shadow. Seeing shadow is not uncommon for me. I don't see a lot of color.
What's the coolest about it is when I see these lights. I'm gonna go ahead and say that they're my angels. I don't know. Again, it doesn't tell me a lot unless I really like engage with it, but I really don't. But it looks like it's almost tearing reality, because it comes from nowhere and it really shines, and then I ignore it and it just kind of like, oh, and it goes away.
Yes, I've seen that.
I've seen that. I haven't, but you know.
But
I gotta tell you a really cool experience was coming home from a group meditation one night years ago. I'm driving. I saw that tearing in the sky.
Oh wow!
It was so cool.
Wow! Like
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Anyway,
but you know, Pam, I think also like personally, when we talk about the dissociation, like I think that spirit wouldn't get my attention in a different way. It's for me, it happens to get my attention mostly because I'm so caught up in my head imagining things that I couldn't tell the difference, like someone talking to me or me imagining some meaning, literally. So if something didn't spark or didn't like make some kind of movement, I wouldn't even bother to like figure out if something's trying to communicate with me.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Sure. And that's just not how they get my attention. So
exactly. It's all about that, like how you.
Yeah, so we're all different.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's next?
You are.
I am. Says Jenny. I would love to know what you guys think about angel numbers, spirit communicating through numbers, and if you have any tips to looking up the meanings behind numbers. When you Google angel number, blah, 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 I feel like you get a lot of different interpretations of the same number. So here's another thing. It's going to be different for everyone. Sorry. And that's what, I know. So, but that's also why we say tune into what are you doing at the time? What are you thinking of? What's going on in your life? It's spirit just trying to get your attention. I rarely look at numbers as being, oh, it's a 4, it must be money. Oh, it's a 3, it must be whatever. I don't see it that way. I see spirit coming in and saying, you're doing it. You're on your path. You're making this work. They're positive affirmations. And so that's what, when I see, I see sequential numbers all the time. And I don't, if I'm really like in a bad place, if there's fear, if there's, if something, I'll see them. And if I do see it at that time, it's like to remind me, oh, I need to get out of this. Like, this isn't a healthy place for me. So I don't think each one has a specific meaning. You apply to it what you want to apply to it. And that's something you can do too with symbols or anything. So you see a symbol and you just talk to spirit, say, okay, this is what I want this to mean. Or, okay, I see these. And so then spirit will start bringing it around at those times to give you that message for you.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's the best way to make it work for you. Yeah. So, because it's true, you Google around and you're going to get, again, like so many different interpretations.
And it's someone else's opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah. That also brings me to when I first started this, I wanted to get to know, like, I love Ascended Masters. So I got this book and I was calling in all these, I was reading about different Ascended Masters and I would call them in, and Fred said to me, it's okay to look up who they were in this lifetime, but as soon as the author of whatever you're reading, as soon as that author starts sharing their opinion, stop reading. Because Ascended Masters will come to you for different reasons. They come to you for different things, and that's that person's opinion. So that's what I think about the angel numbers as well. You're just looking at someone's opinion. That person isn't more knowledgeable than anyone else. That's just what that means to that person writing that definition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that answer. Yeah.
Hopefully that's not too. Okay. Let me see. She has something else. Let me read it real quick, but it's a personal thing. So.
Okay.
Oh, just more about numbers.
Numbers are tricky sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't put too much meaning on, oh, was it a 1? Was it a 3? Was it a 4? What was that now again? And like,
Right. And how they come. Just see them as signs of spirit being with you.
Yeah. I think
spirit is with you. Yeah. That's the way I like to look at them. Those.
No, I agree. I think the similar things.
Those were great questions. Yeah. And spirit numbers are great. They can be very affirming at times when you need it. Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Next.
All right, Alexa. Let's see. She's got 3 here. Do we all have a purpose here in this life? Do we choose to come here before we are born? Is everything in our life predestined, or is it free will, or both?
I have a lot to say on that. Who wants to start? Yeah.
Oh my God, she's gonna kill us again. But I would say it goes hand in hand. I've never gotten an answer that free will and destiny would like oppose each other. We as humans think that things oppose each other, but usually they're complementary. Definitely. And I would say 100% everyone has a purpose. That their purpose is very different. Like you can, it's very different for everybody.
I will say to that,
Yeah.
we do all, the one purpose that every one of us has is self-love, is to find love.
Oh,
is
yeah.
to heal ourselves. And so on that bigger picture of a purpose, it's about healing and finding self-love and being in love and sharing love and being love, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And then what you're talking about, Nan, is I think how most people think of a purpose. Like, what is my career? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? That purpose, I think, is what most people, when they ask, what is my purpose? That's what they're looking for.
And I also think it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And a purpose, you can make a purpose into a career, but it's not going to be like, the purpose is not the career. The career is like an expression of the purpose.
Yes.
Oh,
But
well
we
said.
as humans, we all want to have like, oh, what's my career? What am I really good at? But that's something we can only decide for ourselves, like you said.
Yes.
But that also goes hand in hand. Without that self-love and that finding your essence and connecting to that self, then it's really hard to like know your true purpose, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
She does have 2 more questions, totally different.
Okay.
Okay, let's try them.
All right. If a loved one has died and crossed over, how do they know when we're thinking about them or talking to them if we don't have medium or psychic abilities?
Because only 10% of us is like, everyone is an energetic being. Everyone has a light body. Everyone has, we are connected to, we have a higher self that's in that higher realm. More of us is spiritual than physical.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah. And so our higher self, we're always talking. I mean, yeah,
and
we're always
ones, they're beings of like, they're not physical beings, so they know if you're really thinking about them. And
and it's also for us being in a physical body, it's about faith.
Yes. Yeah, this is one of those things that we really can't understand unless we just trust it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It can be hard sometimes, but we always get there in the end.
Yes.
Yes. And her last one is, I have heard you both say that there are no coincidences. Could you share any experiences of a time where something has happened that could seem like a coincidence when really it was some sort of sign or a message?
Oh, I have a lot of those, but I would expose too many people's personal stories.
Right.
With me, so I can't. I can just say when it comes to dating, I have had a lot of experiences where I can just not ignore a sign where it's like, this is not a coincidence. This is definitely, even though I wanted to ignore it, I believe that it wasn't true. Yeah. Definitely. Like it gets almost bizarre how like, yeah. I can't really share something personal.
I will share one. I had named, Fred is the name that I gave this particular guide of mine. He's an ascended master. He's amazing, whatever. And when I sort of put together, that's who this actually, he has had a human life, an ascended master, they have. And I was in that weird space of, why would he be my God? Like, I was so confused. It was before I knew a lot. And is it okay if I call him Fred? I don't know. I shouldn't call him Fred. I should call him by his, the name that everyone knows him, etc. And 3 times that day I heard the name Fred.
When do you do that? Like otherwise?
So you don't. Fred is not the name is out there, but like I went to Walgreens to get some pictures developed, and I was standing there waiting, and this man came up to the counter and said, "I'd like to pick up some pictures. My name is Fred." And I was like, all right. So it was like 3 times that day that type of thing happened. So coincidence?
Yeah.
No. Fred was letting me know, call me Fred. I'm here. It doesn't matter what you call me. I'm with you all the time. Like, I'm your guide. I'm your dude. So
Yeah, it's me.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
coincidence? No.
I would even feel no, there's no coincidences in this universe. Even if things seem untied to each other, everything's connected. There cannot be like.
And a coincidence doesn't necessarily mean that it's something big spiritual either.
No. You're right. Or even that it's. Sometimes it can just literally be like not warning you, but trying to caution you, like wherever you're headed, it's not going to be great. So I'm just telling you. And we as humans, we go like, oh God, it's a sign. It must be the right thing.
I keep
so guilty of that.
You're the one. No.
No.
Exactly.
He's stalking you. That's why you're bumping into him. Caution.
Yes, exactly. Call the police. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Alexa.
Yes. All right. Tracy Hugh, another one we hear from. Many of these we hear from all the time, and we're so grateful. And I should have said things as, Lindsay, all these people we get messaging from all the time, and we're so very grateful. We love all.
We really are.
Tracy Hugh is another one. Tracy Hugh always gives us a lot of information and sort of backstories and so forth. And she loves all the paranormal stuff. So she's a kindred spirit. All right. My broad question is shadow people. I know many people view them as evil and some view them as good, and just about everyone views them as scary. That's true. What are your opinions and thoughts on them?
I say one thing first.
Yeah.
There are, in my experience, my opinion as well, there are shadow people, and then there are spirits that we see as shadow form.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't know which is which.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't know. Excuse me.
And you have to take a moment to figure it out.
Yes.
You have to go there. And that's really, for me, if I don't know right away, I'll ask my guidance to tell me. And I have little things that I do, like I'll ask a question. I'm just asking spirit. That's something we do a lot. Is this a shadow person or a shadow of a person? Like that kind of
question.
And I'll get an answer. So sometimes you have to go there. But actual shadow people are dangerous. They're dangerous. Yeah, they're not something to mess around with. Are they all out to hurt you or kill you or something? No, but they're not good intentioned beings. As far as I'm concerned, that's my opinion. Now, if entities show up and you see a shadow, that depends on that entity, whether it's good, bad, whatever. But actual shadow people, I've never come across one that had good intentions. An actual shadow thing.
Yeah. Whatever there.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. Just as something presents itself as shadow doesn't mean it's ill-intended.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's, you have to assess that. You have to figure that out.
And I think a lot of people think that, like evil is usually when something just really attacks you. But usually if something needs to attack you, it's more looking for food. Evil is something that does not care about what happens to you. Like evil is
Correct.
something that will use you until it needs you and then throw you away. And if you get eaten by some other wolf or not, they don't really care. If you live, great. If you don't, I don't
Yes.
care. It's more that lack of caring.
Yeah.
Even with people, I want to say that
Yes.
definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
People that are really cold against you, and that it was you would consider it. It's not even evil. I don't like using that word, but it's more like it's so oriented towards it's only me and my needs, and I will use you for as long as I need you, and then
Yes.
I don't really care what happens to you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are people like that too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they continue to be that way after death. They just get to do it in a different form.
Yeah.
So this is an optional question. It's a little more personal, but I think it might be a good one. So as a teenager, she would spend lots of time in her room. She had a traumatic childhood. In addition to whatever was in my room, I would have a cool breeze across my face and my hair would be moved from my face. Could this have been a guide or relative attempting to soothe me? Yes.
Yes, definitely. I get that. I get relative actually.
I did too.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this a way a guide would help us?
I mean,
Usually, in my experience, it's more, sorry, go ahead. It's more of a relative, than a guide.
I would say something similar. Yeah.
She was just asking in case anyone else had anything similar. So that's a great question, Tracy. And yeah, and it's really, if you can move at that time, if you can move out of because it can be very shocking at times. It can put you in fear. If you can get out of that fear and sort of ground yourself and become present, you'll know if it's something harmful or not.
Right.
Usually things that are harmful, they do other things too. If that's all that's happened, I would say that's most likely a relative.
Yeah, definitely.
If it's something harmful, if it's an entity or it's an earthy, something that has other intentions, other things are going to happen. You're going to see a shadow. Something's going to get moved. You're going to hear voices or noises, whatever. Other things will happen. But just that was probably someone being kind and wanting you to know that you weren't alone and that, yeah, you're on this journey and you're doing great and they're there to comfort you. Okay, great question. Next.
All right. Michaela.
Okay.
What are some of your most memorable encounters with spirit? Thank you.
We've already said a couple. However, yes.
God.
Memorable good, memorable bad. I don't
know. Like
I have memorable good. I have lots of memorable through paranormal work, but I'll give one. Unless do you guys have something to say, then I
have to think for a second. Like
okay.
There's a lot of them.
Story, Mari-Lyn. You want me to go ahead?
What came as I was reading it was probably a month or more after my mother had passed. Walking through my house, just thinking about her and then feeling her from behind me wrap her arms around me.
Oh, that's
just
beautiful.
Giving me that quick little hug.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. All of my troubles in that moment melted away. That is what came to me while I was reading that.
That makes me think of I once had I guess it was a lucid dream or something. Like I remember in the dream I was in my living room and I came from the corner with my friend, like a long childhood friend that I have. And there was a third person with us. And in that moment, I didn't know I was dreaming. And I remember I was asking my friend, like, who's this third person? Like, did you bring a friend? Like, who is this? And then I look at the person and then it's my dad. And my dad also passed away. And I remember in that moment, and my dad in the dream or the experience, he had like, he shaved his head, and he always had like a little longer hair. And I remember thinking in that moment, I'm dreaming. It was just the way he had his hair. I knew. And I remember looking to my bed, seeing myself sleeping, and I said to my dad, I'm gonna wake up any second. I know it, but I can either ask you a bunch of things or just hug you. So I'm just gonna hug you. And then he just laughed, and I hugged him, and then I woke up. So I knew I had this short little window of doing something, and it's like, okay, I have to choose wisely. So I just hugged him.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, okay, hug is better than questions. Yeah. So that I remember, that was pretty cool. And it was one of those like, oh my God, I'm out of my body. It was just so important to just kind of hug my dad and then let it be over. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
My most memorable one, I will say, was when I met all my guides, and I met them, my 4 main guides, and I met them all at once. And I'll be really quick because it's kind of a long story, but we had moved about an hour from where I was working at the time. And so we moved, and I still had to work there for a few weeks. So for whatever reason, I drove our older vehicle. I don't know why, but now I don't remember why, but I did. So I drove all the way out there, and it's this long, if any of you, it's this long highway. It's on 84. It's really dark at night. There's not a lot of street lights, not a lot of houses, anything. It's like, you're on one side of you is the Columbia River. The other side are just mountains and whatever. So it's an hour on that type of road. So I go to work, I come out, and I'm driving home, and there's only very few exits. Like when you go past an exit, there's not another one for, another 20 miles or something. This is like a 50-mile trek that I had to take. Anyway, so it's late at night. I'm coming home, all the little dummy lights in the car start flashing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 20 miles from anywhere. It's totally dark out here. And I'm like, okay, I didn't have the faith I do now. And so I was kind of like talking to Fred. I'm like, Fred, if you really care about me, or if you really
like, come on, man.
That kind of thing. And I'm holding the steering wheel, and I'm afraid. And also I look over, and he's sitting next to me. Fred is sitting next to me, kind of leaned over like this. You're gonna be okay. He starts telling stupid like dad jokes to me. And I look in my rearview mirror, and in the back seat, you have Michael, Archangel Michael, who is huge. He's sitting on the hump, in the back seat. And then I have my guy Keith and Athena sitting next. So there's 3 of them in the back. Fred's here and I'm just like, it was just this weird, surreal sort of, am I dreaming? What the hell is going on? I get all the way home. I park my car, and it goes dead.
Oh my God, wow. Yeah.
So that was the most beautiful. I think that's the most memorable. And I could talk more about that, but I'm not going to. The conversations were fabulous, and it was so comforting. And he kept me laughing the whole time. And they kept my car running until I got home and parked it. And then I had to have it towed the next day. So
wow.
Just incredible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. I shouldn't say I've forgotten about it. I haven't told that story for a long time. So thank you, Michaela. All right. We have just a few left, I think. One time I went to this is Crystal Russell. One time I went to the beach, and I saw 3 people swimming around me in a shallow end. I was not underwater, but I could only see the back sides of them.
I didn't understand that.
So I went to the beach, and so she was swimming, and she saw people swimming around her that weren't really there. Could that be a figment of my imagination, or could that have been something paranormal?
But how did she know they were not there?
No one else saw them. Is that what she said?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I actually have a really quick hit on that.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know the name of it, but it's kind of like tea leaf reading or looking at crystal ball or whatever that people do that in water, and you can get signs and messaging through looking at water.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. I don't think it was anything paranormal. I think it was your just your clairs at work. You were getting, yeah.
That lands.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't get
okay. I was like, where are you?
You're like, what?
Yeah.
No, I don't get anything. Like you said, I don't get that it's anything paranormal, like it was some kind of being or something. I don't get that. So that definitely
I think it was a message. And she
yeah,
was
yeah,
so
yeah.
intrigued by there were 3 people that,
Yeah.
sometimes when that happens, it's very normal for us to get very 3D. And
Mhm.
what is it, what's going on, instead of relaxing into it and allowing the message to come to us. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what I think happened. Great experience, Crystal.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, great. I'm so glad she asked that.
Me too. Oh, and
Yeah.
I think that was your question, was it? Sorry, Mari-Lyn, go ahead. You get your next.
No. Oh, sure. Give me the long one.
Oh.
I'm hoping I say your name correctly, Cian. Cian Hope.
Aw, good name.
Oh, okay. Can mediums actually predict when a person will die?
I don't, yeah, no, I wouldn't really,
Nope, no one
No.
can. That's between you and your
You.
counselor.
Yeah.
You and you and you.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm going to read these next 2 sentences other than to just say, Cian, I am very sorry that happened.
Okay.
Oh, so, well, I'm going to, let's just.
You want to read that, Pam?
Let's just kind of paraphrase it.
Yes.
There was a medium that actually said when someone was going to die, told that person, this is when you're going to die. That is completely unconscionable. It's unethical, and it's just plain wrong. And that medium should have absolutely known better. And that's just horrific. That person should not be in any sort of place of authority, being a medium, anything. That is horrific. And I am so sorry that happened. No one can. That's again,
the type of people I was mentioned, like with the ego issue in the beginning. I was very careful with that, but exactly that. Yeah. And
it's absolutely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm also so sorry that was your experience. I mean, how was that? Even if, let's play with the thought that we could. And even if I would get some image of some horrific something happening to you, like I would never, ever get the guidance to actually share that with you. I would get the guidance to kind of steer you either in a way to avoid some kind of something that might happen, or, like to avoid a disease or whatever, just to guide you. But I would never, and that's what you said. That goes so much with, if you don't do your own healing, if you don't just make sure that you mature emotionally and that you can just some things are just common sense. I don't even feel like.
And I'm also going to, here's something else too I want to say. Why would a medium even be going there? What is the purpose of that? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Why?
Really good question.
And so
thankfully they did not believe her. They put no stock in what she said, thankfully.
Oh, I'm so grateful, because that could have really been devastating to have someone tell you when you're that would be awful. Yeah. That's another thing that's going to lead into something else that I'm going to say quickly. No one can tell the future. No one. It doesn't matter what the future is. It doesn't matter what you're asking. We do not know. We cannot predict that. It is not up to us. Free will really plays heavily in what our future is and what we do and what the other people in our life can change. Mari-Lyn, you could have decided not to do this today. That would have changed the dynamic of today. That would have changed.
Sure.
So you just, free will is a huge part, and no one can tell you, you just can't. When people come to us and they have questions, etc., it's usually for clarity on what's going on in their life now. That we can help with. We can't necessarily tell you what other people are thinking or doing. We can get sort of a sense of maybe something, a dynamic, but it's almost always around your own personal healing and growth and evolution. But I am so sorry. And that's,
yeah.
you know, and on another, that makes us all look bad. No wonder people think we're fucking crazy. I'm sorry, but they do, because they think because you have idiots. I'm going to say it. You have idiots like this medium who would say something so unconscionable and unethical. Oh,
Yep.
now I'm fired up.
Yep. So our apologies, Cian, but thank you for asking.
Yes.
She does have another question here. A few years ago, I visited a political prisoner camp in South Korea, where prisoners were tortured and treated poorly. At one point in the tour, I felt overwhelmed to the point where I sort of freaked out and refused to go into a certain area of the prison. I cannot even explain how awful it felt. I felt like crying and screaming. I didn't know why. Only after did I find out that that was the area where people were tortured for information. What can cause this sort of reaction? Is it just the low vibrational energy?
Lots of things. Nan, what do you get for that?
I get
lots.
So much, like, emotions are energy. Feelings are emotions are energy. And especially like when we say low vibrational emotions like sadness, torture, grief, fear. I mean, again, I want to be very careful. I want to say those are bad emotions. It's emotions that are, but when they're used like that, when you torture someone, like that's a huge buildup of all those experiences that stays for a long, especially if you use it as a way to kind of like, it's like a museum, or you want to, because then you kind of keep it alive because you want to tell that story. So if anything, it means that you're just sensitive enough to feel that.
Right. Yeah. And that's where I was going. I actually was writing while you were, so I'd remember. It could either, there's a difference between empathy and clairsentient.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go into those big differences right now, but with empathy, so if you have some wounding around something that was going on there with maybe not being able to tell your truth, or maybe someone, you had some trauma around someone trying to make you do something or whatever, that could have hit that wounding for you, because that same vibration could have hit and it could have been overwhelming to you. And so it could also just be, not just, whatever, clairsentient. So you were just feeling that energy and you knew it wasn't yours, and you were able, but you didn't want to go in there because that is awful energy.
It's awful.
It could be something too, maybe the life that you just came past, you were one of them that was tortured. I mean, there's all kinds of, or you were the one torturing or whatever. There's all sorts of things, but best to not, if it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Yeah, just don't.
Yeah.
That was a great.
That was a great question. And again, I'm sorry you experienced that, because I've had that very similar situation experience in a different country. And it's, it's a powerful one.
Yes.
So great questions. Thank you, Cian.
Yes. So Sam Saint, another one who we get a lot of comments from. And again, most of these, they are over and over, and I want to think I shouldn't just point some out and not. So, but oh well, that's what I'm doing today for whatever reason. Okay. As we all know at this point that our choices, our energy is a magnet. If you choose poorly, then your energy will be at one point decayed, and you eventually attract beings with low vibration.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure Sam's first language is not English.
Right.
Okay.
So if you choose poorly, then your energy will be at point of decay, and you eventually attract beings with low vibration. So if you're talking, so what I'm gathering you're saying is, if I am, say, depressed and I'm sad and I'm whatever, that's that same type of person that I will attract to me, or the type of person who would take advantage of that or whatever. So that like attracts like. That's what I'm thinking she's saying.
I think that's what she's saying.
A person who at some point of his life used in daily, okay, person at some point of his own life. So if a person uses heavy drugs in their life and at some point stops without any rehab or help from this habit, which is the energy level of this person? Okay, let me get that.
I don't know what way do you think is like a difference if they stop without help or with help? Like,
Right.
I don't understand what the question is.
Yeah.
Is there?
In what this person could welcoming. And so could this person be welcoming in other people with the same habit, and a person who brags to be a being of light and have special abilities but can't stay one day without using cocaine? This could be true or not. So I'm just going to, I'm not sure exactly of the questions, but I'm going to defer to Mari-Lyn.
Yeah.
And just talk about that.
So,
and thank you, Sam. And I'm sorry that I'm not quite understanding, but Mari-Lyn's going to bring some answers here.
Yeah, from what I'm understanding of what you're asking, Sam, when we alter our brain chemistry, when we alter our energy through substance, I don't care what that substance is, our vibration lowers, our vibration drops. When we get into that addictive state, it's very hard to bring our vibration up past a certain level. It just is. When we make that choice to stop using, we are in a very vulnerable state because our vibration fluctuates so dramatically, and we basically have no control over our vibration for a certain period of time when we are coming off of that drug. I'm going to guess through your question that this person really wasn't able to stop, and they thought they had abilities. The information that's coming as an answer is when we are in an addictive state and we're struggling with trying to stop, our reality is so confusing. We hallucinate. We honestly don't know what real is. And I speak from experience. I've been there. It's living hell. You're vulnerable to almost anything. So if there is activity around you, you're absolutely open to inviting that activity to be around you. And
entities like people who do drugs and drink and yeah. And here's a reality. That first question with altered realities, here's where it might play in altered realities.
Yes.
At this point, so it's a mental thing. It's a brain chemistry thing. The reality thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. You just because you are addicted to drugs or alcohol, are you going to invite activity into your house? No, not necessarily. Are you vulnerable? Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So the person needs healing and needs to get some help. If this is, someone that now, please encourage them to get healing, get help, get into therapy, get into an AA program, whatever.
Some type of program. I know people like to think that they are strong enough if they ask for help that it shows weakness. It doesn't. It's very difficult to go cold turkey off of anything. And asking for help is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself.
And the strongest thing,
really
honestly.
Is. And absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Having compassion for this person is also one of the most loving things that you can do for them in how you approach them of trying to ask them to seek for help. But ultimately, it's their choice, their decision. Yeah. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah.
That was really beautiful. And I also wanted to add, like, don't focus too much on what kind of beings you can attract or not, because that's also kind of just getting your fear more up, and it's kind of pushing you away from healing. So even if you know someone that likes
and attracting them when you go to that person,
it's just a spiral there. Even if you want to help your friend or whoever it is here, it's like I wouldn't go like, hey, you can attract all these, that like it's definitely not the right approach.
Right.
Or fear. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sam.
Great question. Yes. I think you're next. Yeah.
Oh, am I? I guess I am. I just talked a lot, so I forgot.
Oh.
Okay. Tiny Shield Maiden. All right. Tiny Shield Maiden. I don't think we hear a lot from.
I don't think
from
so
this
either.
person from South Louisiana.
Welcome. Yeah.
All right. So she says, you've talked a few times about the investigators y'all are reacting to who are trying to help spirits cross over, but what they're doing won't work. Is there something we non-mediums can do that will help spirits we encounter, especially if we're unable to employ a medium to come help them? I hate the idea of encountering a spirit that's in distress and not being able to do anything for them.
Absolutely. And we totally get that. We're available all the time, first of all. So you can always reach out to us. We don't have to be there to help. We can do it energetically. As far as what you can do is be in love. It really depends on what is going on. You can try and talk to them and say, because their guides are always around trying to get them to go. Tell them let them know they can go home anytime they want. That to call on the love, to call on the higher light, to call on God or spirit or whatever verbiage you want to use, the universe. And to go home. You don't need to be here. I'm so sorry you're here, but you really need to get healed, and whatever your verbiage is, be kind. But that's about all really you can do, and sometimes that does help.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
Also wanting to know, I've heard from some that everyone has the potential to be sensitive to the paranormal if they develop that skill, although some have an innate talent. Also, I've heard the opposite, that only some people are sensitive. What's been your experience in this?
So what very first came to me is when I first started being a teacher. I thought I was the shit and I could teach anyone because everyone has abilities and everyone can do it. No. It's either your path or it's not your path. And that's not up to us. It doesn't mean one person has more abilities than anyone else has abilities. There are people who it's not their path. They want nothing to do with it. They have abilities. They're just choosing to not develop them. So if it's also what's coming now too, is this is part of one of the reasons that I teach the way that I do is why I do one-on-ones before I put you in a group or whatever it is everyone is different. Everyone has different abilities, has a different skill set, has different trauma, everything is different. So to learn your specific abilities and how to develop them and how to encourage those. What happens is people will, like, clairvoyance seems to be the thing that everybody wants. And this is how it looks, and this is how, well, not everyone is. I'm not, you know, so also there are people who teach that way. They teach one thing and that's it. You go to them, they teach everyone the same thing. And if you can't do it, you feel awful. It's like, well, why can't I do it? Maybe I don't have abilities. Maybe I'm not that good. Well, no, that doesn't mean that at all. They just haven't found what works for you. So if you are guided to do it, then you have the tools to do it, or you have the abilities, right? I think. Would that be?
That's, yep. I'm getting your ding, ding, ding.
Oh, yay! All right. So she has another question too, right? Yeah.
I thought that was it.
Oh, was that it?
Yep.
Were those the two?
Yep,
Oh.
that was it from Tiny Shield Maiden.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah. Next one is Angela Black. She loves our videos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Her question is a little bit different. We like a little bit different. Oh, Nan. Well, Mari-Lyn too, but Nan is such the animal person. Do we have spiritual connections with animals? Animals have always been drawn to me. Even strangers' pets have been drawn to me. I have had 2 baby kittens come out of nowhere to my home and just decided to live here with me. One of them was really sick and needed to go to the vet immediately. People tell me that animals sense people who can help them, and I was wondering if that's true.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That just means you're a really kind and safe person. That's just really beautiful. And definitely everything's connected. So, and just like we humans, we have our mind, which is a beautiful tool, but it can also, you know, go against us sometimes. We overthink things. Why animals don't do that the same way. They trust their instincts, basically. So
yes.
Yeah, you just feel like a really soft person. So.
And some people are just kind of bent that way. Like, I like animals,
Absolutely.
but I'm not all goofy about animals like Nana is.
I am.
And Mari-Lyn with her cats.
Yeah.
But I am that way with babies. So, you know, everyone's kind of bent differently. And it doesn't mean that those of us who aren't like that don't care or anything. It's just a different, yeah. So
I think that goes right along with our other abilities.
Yes.
Our connection with animals.
There are some psychics that work strictly with animals.
Yeah.
They can't read people to save their life, but they can an animal.
Yeah. You know, you said you're that way with babies. My husband will not get 50 feet near a baby.
Right.
But you hand him a cat and he's got that cat. He treats that cat like a baby.
Right.
But you bring a dog into the room and he's not afraid of them. He's just not dog energy people.
Right.
Me, you bring an animal 50 feet and I'm right there. I don't care.
An animal.
You know, and alligator, lion, I don't care. I'm
reptiles, I don't care. I'm even one of those that take the spider out because I feel bad. Like I don't want to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I know
I squish it, but
I'm not gonna go there.
You know how brave I am lately? I've been practicing. Right now, I'm not even scared. I take a glass, I take something under, I trap it, and then I take it out. So, and
that's beautiful.
And I try to calm it.
Yeah.
And I try to calm it down because it has such panic when I do that. But then it kind of like realizes that it's still alive, and it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
But I want to add one thing to that. A lot of us that are really, really connected to animals, some of us are bent that way, but a lot of us grew up with very unsafe people, and the safest beings were animals. So you just naturally connect more because they feel like more.
Good
they,
point.
they didn't harm you like humans did.
Yeah.
So
Very good
I
point.
have high respect for animals because of that.
Right.
Mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
I
a
do
lot
want to go.
more-
Oh.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go one step further into the animal guide.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I have some beautiful animal guides.
yeah. Me too, I love them.
In fact, I had a Black Panther riding in my back seat last week.
Oh, cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
My power animal is a snow leopard. I love him.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Love that.
Yeah. They, as we know, especially when opening circle, we're drumming. Animals
Oh,
come in.
magic.
Yes.
Yeah. They like that.
Yeah.
Drum is such a shamanic, such an
Yeah.
earth thing.
Yes. I'm
Okay.
down to one page.
I think we have 2 left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have one this came in through Instagram.
Okay.
Okay.
Nicole.
Oh, I think I did that one first off.
Oh, you did. Oh, yes, you did. Never mind. We have one left. Sunny Bear.
Okay. Sunny Bear.
I remember Sunny Bear. I remember Sunny Bear from last time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the name.
Yeah.
All right.
I have been listening to your meditations for about a month. Thank you. Almost every morning. Helps me very much. Thank you. I'm still learning, but I feel much calmer and grounded. I am very great. Is there a question? Oh, yeah. She just being all grateful, or was there a question? I am very grateful to you beautiful ladies. My question is how to raise good vibration at home and how to protect from bad energy. For example, like from low energy spirits, enemies, etc. Some people say if your home is clean, it means that your soul is clean too. I don't like that saying at all. Sorry for the grammar mistakes. I hope so. English is not her first language. So continue with meditations, and also I'm going to be doing a more series of meditations. So Sunny Bear, make sure you go to our website, get on the email list, so you will be notified of other meditations that are coming up. So how do you raise your energy? It's that's a whole process. That's something that I teach people. Do you ladies have something you want to
go ahead.
As far as your home, I think one of my most favorite things to get people started off is setting the intention of what you want in your home. And if you're a holy water person or a high vibrational water person, you can spray that. If you're a sage person, you can burn sage. No, thank you in my home.
I love it. I love sage. Yes, thank you.
My sinuses immediatally.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm having headaches. Maybe I should look over this.
Yes.
Crystals. I love crystals. That's also one of those tools.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whether you use a tool or not, though, your intention of bringing in love, joy, gratitude, compassion.
And saying what you want, not what you don't want. So, for instance, you can go around the house saying, I bring love and joy into my space. I bring love and joy into my space. Whatever it is, you can repeat the same thing over and over again. You can change the verbiage. But what you don't want to do is saying, I don't want hate in here. I don't want low vibrate. You don't say
exactly.
What you don't.
I like to treat my home like a conscious being. So whenever I'm going to go away for a longer time, I tell my home goodbye and I tell it I'll be home soon and I thank it. And when I come back, I tell it hi. I know it sounds ridiculous, probably.
No, it's beautiful.
No, it's wonderful.
And when you do feel really, when you have those days when you feel really grateful to your home, tell your home you love your home. Like it's a conscious
Yes.
being. It's
Yes.
gonna, like, everything is conscious. It has some consciousness. So I think that, and just like
Yeah.
like your lady said, like if you are in a high vibration, if you just keep maintaining that in the best way you can, I'm not saying be happy all the time, but just be there for yourself.
Yeah.
Think thoughts that feel good. You know, don't.
The other thing is, what just came is when you get done with a meditation, stand up and walk around your room and
That's
just
beautiful. Yeah.
around your house and just feel that love, and just, you can touch things or you can just put your hands out or whatever and just be and spread that beautiful energy, because your energy, that high vibration, will transmute the lower energies in your home.
Mm-hmm. It will. And there is a difference between energetic clean,
Yes,
that energetic high vibration, and 3D clean. When you start raising the vibration of your home, there is just an automatic happening of decluttering.
I was just gonna say, the clutter is not always. It makes you really. I want to say also, your home is always going to reflect you, your state of.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of pets reflect your emotional.
True.
Being. So yeah.
Yeah.
The more over the years, the more I stepped into this journey, the more psychic I became, etc., the less stuff I have in my house. I've had people walk into my house and say, "Have you just moved in? Like, have you not done unpacking?" It's like, "No, I'm all done."
I think I did that the first time I went to Pam's house.
No, I just can't have all the clutter. It just,
You
I
are
can't.
so Scandinavian. That's very minimalistic. We love minimalistic in Scandinavia. It's like very clean. There's not a lot of stuff. Very simple. Very.
And I used to be quite the, maybe not pack rat, but I had a lot of crap. And it's just, the more I came along, it's like, oh, I've got to get rid of this stuff. I can't do it.
It's so funny. I go through these phases, and I am in another phase where I'm looking around going, I got rid of so much stuff. Why do I have so much stuff?
Still have so much stuff.
I am ready to throw away again. I'm ready to get rid of again.
So are we ready to draw a name?
Yes, so exciting.
I think so. Thank you, everyone. Your questions were great.
Thank you.
They were. I mean, they were amazing questions. I love them.
Okay.
All right.
Danielle.
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 Yay.
So Danielle,
Exciting.
send us an email and we'll set up a session.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's
And
awesome.
Congratulations, Danielle. How exciting.
Yes. So, okay.
Woo.
Okay.
That was fun.
That
It
was
was.
fun. Yes. And please, everyone, remember, send me if you want to know about more of our offerings, and all three of us will be offering stuff.
Yes.
It'll be changing, but there will be some development, some, it's all about your spiritual journey, how to get yourself on that spiritual journey and moving forward, and all the healing and all the lessons, and just, we're bringing it. I finally, and I want to thank everyone for nudging me to get back to this. It really is where I am. That is my happy place, is being a teacher. So send us, contact us through email. Tell us you want to be on the email list. Put your name, first name, last initial. If you don't want your whole name, that's fine, but so we know who you are. And and thank you, Dan and Mari-Lyn, for today. This has been wonderful, as always.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you both. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, and we'll do this again. I'm not sure when, but at some point we'll do another question and answer, because we do enjoy them. So.
We do. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be July.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
July it is.
Yeah.
At the soonest, it'll probably be
There's a lot
July.
going on in June.
Yes, we do.
All right. Well,
All right.
everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.